If you like weird books, this book may be one to check out. And the book we're going to talk about today is The Caretaker by Marcus Kliewer. Now, I read this because I read his other book, We Used to Live Here, which is super weird and strange, and it has that kind of like Twin Peaks vibe. Time is an illusion, weird stuff happening all around. Does any of it make sense? Sort of, but not really. So that's kind of what we're getting into here. And this is the second book I've read by this author. I think it may just be their second book. And I'm guessing a theme here is that this author just writes really weird books, and I love that. If you're a person that does not like open-ended endings, then this book may not be for you. But if you're open to an ending being left to the imagination and you like really weird stuff, then I would say definitely check it out. So let's get into talking about what The Caretaker is about. So there's this house that's kind of secluded, and it's in the Oregon coast wilderness. So kind of close to the water, but there's a lot of forest surrounding it. So there's this man named David, and it seems like he's starting to suffer dementia. And his wife, Grace, thinks he's kind of going like nuts. He has this whole kind of weird thing, obsession about following these rites and specific things that need to be done around the house to prevent an entity or entities from doing something. So you come into the story and we meet David. He hears 3 knocks on the door. Then he goes outside and he sees a bunch of muddy footprints going into the woods. And he's like, okay, he knows that he has to follow these because he's apparently following the rites. If he doesn't do the rites, then something bad will happen. The footsteps he's following will lead him to what he calls the visitors. And the visitors can be kind of anything or anyone. And no matter who they look like or what they are, they always have really cold blue eyes. And sometimes they take on the form of people that you may know or had loved and lost. And so it's a very psychological, messed up thing. Also, too, there's a few trigger warnings for this. This book does talk about subject matter that includes suicide, OCD, and depression. So if any of those are triggers for you, just a forewarning. I would say always look for trigger warnings if you can. A lot of times you can find them on Storygraph if they aren't in the book themselves. This one actually had them in the book. It tells you right in the beginning what the triggers may be. David starts following this visitor. Eventually he hears the visitor kind of like whimpering, and it's taken on a human form this time. And when he gets there, he sees that it's someone he knows. And what you have to do when you find the visitor is that you have to calm them down and have them not like freak out or lose it. And then eventually, like, you say, oh, you'll lead them to wherever they were trying to get to. And then eventually they just like disappear. But if you can't calm them down, you have to immediately like run back to the house and beat them there and lock all the doors so that they don't get in. Cause I don't know what's supposed to happen if they get in. Something bad. You get kind of like that picture of what's going on with David and what he's seeing and what's happening. And you're like, is any of this real? Now we come to this ad that is placed in Craigslist and is put there by David's wife, Grace, and Grace is looking for a caretaker for just 3 days, just for a weekend, because she's going to go visit family somewhere and she needs someone to come and to be a caretaker for, well, David. Apparently, a bunch of people come and interview, and then there's this woman, Macy Mullins, and I think she's like 22, has a background in graphic design, and then also worked for her dad's landscaping company before her dad had passed away. So right now she takes care of her sister. They are barely getting by. They live in a really, really tiny apartment. She's just been trying to find a job and keep their heads afloat. Yeah, the rent is due. They have a ton of bills, and they're basically sinking and could possibly be homeless if they don't, get some money and are able to pay off their debts. Macy goes out to meet Grace for this interview. And when she gets there, it's not exactly what was described in the job listing. She finds out that she is basically just going to have to watch the house. There's a VHS video she has to watch that David had made telling her like what she needs to look out for. And Grace kind of tells her like, you just need to, follow these steps. Our lights turn on and off because we have faulty wiring. And, David believed if you didn't catch this before something happened, that something bad would happen, this, that, and the other. And why she actually wants someone to do this and to follow the rights or whatever is because, well, this is kind of kind of a spoiler, but it's like the whole point of the story. So David had passed away. Grace just wanted someone to watch over the house, but the reason she put the ad out like it was taking care of a person is she didn't want to attract like unsavory people who might just come and steal her crap, because she lives in a more well-to-do neighborhood. Although her house is just like a normal house. It's not one of the McMansions that's in the rest of the neighborhood, but everything's kind of spread out. Like I said, it's still pretty isolated property and whatnot. So Macy is desperate for money, and this job is going to pay $9,000, and that's going to lift her and her sister out of debt. They're going to be able to keep a roof over their heads, and she's kind of desperate, so she's going to take this job no matter how effed up and weird it sounds. And like, so she watches the VHS, and she watches it with her sister. At the end, her sister's like, you should not take this job. You would be crazy to do it, but like, the sister's younger, and I don't think she really understands that they're going to be homeless if Macy doesn't take this job. On the video, David's like, the first thing is late at night, I think it's between like 3 a.m. and 6 a.m., that the lights, if they come on, they need to be turned off immediately, but only on certain floors. That she has 3 minutes to do it, and if it goes over the 3 minutes, then she has to go read this envelope to see what the next step is, because each thing escalates. And if you fail turning off the lights between these hours of time, the next thing happens, which has to do with these rabbits, right? Cute little fuzzy bunnies. What's wrong with those? Well, apparently, if they get in the house, it's bad news bears, and you need to throw them out immediately within a certain time frame. But if you don't, you got to keep them inside and then do something to dispose of the rabbit. There's an envelope for if you fail that. If you fail that, that's when the visitors come. Who are the visitors? Good freaking question. The visitors come, and they will knock on the door, and then you gotta go follow and find them out in the woods and calm them down, just how we saw what David was doing in the beginning. And if you can't, you gotta run back to the house, beat them there before they get there. If not, and you fail this, well then there will be a phone call, and some random person will tell you what to do next. Which is weird, like, how do they even know this is happening? Who are these people that are calling on the phone? Will Macy be able to do this for 3 days? And when she talks, like, to Grace about this, she's like, why were you doing this stuff for your husband? And she's like, well, you know, I loved him, and this was his dying wish. She kind of plays it off like, oh, it was my husband's superstitions and stuff. But as Macy stays there and the crap starts happening, she almost thinks she's kind of going crazy. But at the same time, not. And it's super messed up. What's up with the rabbits? What is up with the visitors? Who are the visitors? Who are the people that are calling on the phone? I don't know. And so, you know, here's the part where I'd say, you're going to have to read it to find out. But I still have so many questions after this ended. It kind of makes me want to go back and read it, because maybe there's stuff that will be like little hints and clues, because I was going over my notes and I saw some stuff and I was like, oh yeah, that might be a little bit of a hint of why this is happening. But if you ever watched the show Twin Peaks, or if you liked stuff like Black Mirror, stuff is very liminal. It's very weird. Reality bends. This is a place that seems like the worlds are thin. Who are the visitors? I'm still stuck on who are the visitors. I don't really know. I have some ideas of who they might be. If you like weird crap, I thought this book was pretty great. The ending, when it ended, I was like, what? And then it just got my brain wheels going. I was like, so, If any of that sounds interesting to you and you like really weird stuff, I would say definitely check it out. Also, if you enjoyed their prior book, We Used to Live Here, it's kind of got, you know, a vibe in the similar vein of just weirdness and out there. And if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.